Today we're discussing a topic that impacts way too many families. When we think about the injustices in the prison industrial system, black men are often the only topic of discussion. But black women are suffering too, and not just because her boo is locked up. Here to help me break down this topic and issue are my co-hosts Kiara Kelly and Africa Miranda. Keep watching because Listen to Black Women is about to start. Here at Listen to Black Women, we're always caping for black women. That's why we want to focus on a population that's not often discussed. In fact, no one really talks about them, black women who are in prison. According to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, black men accounted for 37% of the total prison population. We talk about this a lot, but black women account for about 22%. To give context, African Americans are approximately 14% of the population. This is a staggering number. Imprisonment devastates individual lives, households, and communities. This all leads us to our question of the week. Why are black women left out of the mass incarceration conversation? Africa, what do you think about this?
Jail's a business. Ava DuVernay broke it down in 13th. We saw how it goes. The ACLU has some really great stats that honestly I didn't even realize until I saw this. Black women spend longer times in jail, often for crimes that they didn't commit, most times because they don't have money for bail. It also reports that 60% of women in jail have not been convicted, but they lose jobs and housing while they're waiting for trial, and this increases the poverty cycle. Next, it also says that 25% of women in jail are there for non-violent crimes. So we have these little fish that are keeping this whole cycle and this business running. Like, it's not about like rehabilitating these women, making sure that we're going to help them, or even really prosecuting these crimes because they're not even convicted. It's just keeping them in this system to make money.
And when we are convicted, we're jailed at unfair rates. A study by the Institute of Women's Policy Research reveals that black women and girls are traditionally over-sentenced for crimes that they may commit. And then we also can't ignore the fact that a lot of black women are subjected to emotional and physical abuse in their communities. And that makes them at-risk populations for committing some crimes. And whereas white populations, they may get counseling, rehabilitation, we just get sent to prison. And there's not this kind of, okay, let's help them work through these issues. Instead, they just package them up and ship them to jail. And that is completely unfair to our communities.
Yeah. In pop culture, we see these injustices play out in kind of more rags to riches kind of stories, like Remy Ma. We saw her go to jail, she came back, and it was the glow up. But we rarely see the average woman who goes to jail because of poverty. So in these narratives, we have to switch how we actually look at women who are being jailed. Let's see what you guys are saying on social media. We got us now posted on Facebook. We have moms, dads, grandmas, and grandpas sitting in legal limbo over incarcerated in our country for decades. Hashtag over incarcerated.
Like Africa was saying, it's the business. Yeah. And they make money off of just filling the beds, so they don't care if you're guilty or not.
No.
Nor do they care about your loved ones. That's the last thing on their mind. They're thinking about their money.
Yeah. And making bail so sky high, knowing that you can't pool together resources to get you out.
At Free Cyntoia Brown, she posted a side-by-side image of Cyntoia and Brock Turner, who we know was sentenced for 6 months after he raped an intoxicated woman. And Cyntoia Brown, she was defending herself against a predator after she was sold into sex slavery. Meanwhile, she got 51 years. Guys, what do you think about that?
White privilege is a hell of a thing.
It is. It's real. Yeah. It shows even how you were saying that, you know, black women are looked at differently. Like even in schools, black girls are going to be charged more harshly, like penalized. It's just, you look at Cyntoia, she was labeled like as a prostitute in the media, sex worker. I'm like, this girl was underage. Yeah. This was absolutely pedophilia, a predator. Yeah. 51 years versus 6 months. And Brock Turner was like, people said, oh, he's a young man with he has a great future ahead of him. Yes. Cyntoia doesn't deserve to have a great future.
I wonder what you guys are saying out there about this very topic. Kiara, what do the polls say?
As always, we polled our MadameNoir.com audience to find out what you think about the issue of black women being incarcerated. We asked, do you know any black women who've been incarcerated? With 51% of you saying no and 49% saying yes.
Yes. Yes. Like, that's the thing. It's, again, we're not talking about it, but so many of us either have a family member or a friend of a family or know someone. You put 10 black women together, someone has, I'm sure, a female family or friend that has been incarcerated or has been in the criminal justice system at some point.
Yeah, and just talking about criminalizing victims, if you're in a domestic violence situation, a lot of times they arrest both parties.
Yes.
You know, even if the man is the perpetrator. And so that's also something that I've seen with women I know of where they have been in situations, DV situations, and they had to go to jail because of what their partner did. We asked, is the rate of Black male incarceration a bigger concern for the community than the rate of Black female incarceration? With 79% saying agree and 21% saying disagree. And as we learned earlier today, the statistics are 37% of the prison population is Black men and 22% are Black women. And so that's not a huge disparity.
At all.
But I do think it's our natural inclination to bring up men and protect our men and talk about them, but we are just as vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think historically that's been the topic of conversation, so we just continue to go with it.
Exactly.
It takes episodes and shows like this to just raise awareness around it. I'm not mad about it. I'm just like, okay, guys, now we know this is also happening for Black women. So what do we do now?
To keep the conversation going, female over-incarceration is a big issue, but we do have women on the ground fighting it. One champion for the cause is Jamila T Davis, and in honor of Black History Month, we're highlighting her work in the community. Kiara had an opportunity to speak with Jamila and find out more.
In 2008, Jamila T Davis was sentenced to 12 and a half years in prison for bank fraud. But she turned her agony into action, spending her time advocating for fair sentencing and resources for inmates. In prison, Jamila devoted herself to empowerment, earning 3 degrees and writing several books centered on helping inmates develop life skills. Post-release, she founded Women Over Incarcerated org and serves on the board of directors for EGL PUD. Jamila is a frontline fighter, marching, organizing, and advocating for change. In honor of Black History Month, Madame Noir is celebrating women like Jamila T Davis with a simple phrase: thank you. What does it feel like to be recognized for your work?
I'm grateful, but I'm also mindful. So I was on a platform before where I was in great light and it got snatched from underneath me. So I'm starting to understand what really matters. God matters, purpose matters. So I'm not so caught up in the hype, I'm caught up in the work, and I have to stay that way because you got to be grounded in this. You have to be level-headed in this fight. So I'm just grateful for the support because I believe that the support can get us more support to actually make a difference. But I'm mindful at the end of the day that I am God's servant and I'm doing his work. So as long as he's saying good job, well done, I will continue to move forward.
For people like me who may be just detached from politics or systemic issues, we feel helpless. Like, how can we help?
Do what you can and really do what you're comfortable with doing. Putting up a post, a simple hashtag can make somebody aware. But if we all collectively come together and do what we can, doing what we can will turn into a lot. Everybody's not built for war. So I'll tell people who are not ready to be on the front line, it's okay if you don't do that. But let's talk about it. Let's post about it. Let's have a family conversation at the table about it. And let's let people know that the formerly incarcerated are not all terrible people. There are people like myself who made poor choices, but that doesn't make us bad people. Please stand with us, fight with us, and help us make a change.
So people who may be looking at you as a shining light and as an example of what they can be on the other side, what message would you have for women who are incarcerated or for women who are out and just not sure where to go next?
My message to you today is don't give up. I want you to look at my life as an example that no matter how hard you fall or how rough times get in this life, you can turn it around and get back up again. So just keep fighting and keep going because joy does come in the morning.
Such an important topic and a great interview. Thank you, Kiara, for doing the work. Africa, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
This week was a good one. Why are Black women being left out of the conversation about incarceration? I would honestly have to say first, unfortunately, misogyny. We have been conditioned culturally to focus on the plight, the attack on Black men, which is very real. But in doing that, we have left Black women out of the conversation. Thankfully, situations like Centoria Brown have brought it to the forefront, but we have to keep this conversation front and center. Black women are being over-policed, they are being over-sentenced, they are left in a cycle that is continuing poverty, continuing the disenfranchisement of our families and our communities. So if you have a family member that is incarcerated, if you are just someone that is watching this and you say, you know what, how can I support women and Black women in this way, and you want to be involved, if you see a hashtag, retweet it. If you see a way that you can give to someone's GoFundMe or their bail fund, do that. There are so many ways that you can support Black women that are disenfranchised and that have been left to the side. Please keep this conversation going. Please do not forget these women. Please make them more than just a hashtag.
Thank you, Africa, for that insightful final thought. Ladies, we are going to continue caping for Black women on Listen to Black Women. Until next time, make sure you check us out on MadameNoire.com and HelloBeautiful.com, and make sure you check out that full interview to keep yourself abreast with all that's going on. Until next week, bye.